Good morning. You know, I told Shay I was a little worried about having the 8 a.m. slot after a open bar hospitality event the night before is always a hard one. So I'm impressed with the attendance here this morning and honored to be here in Bentonville for our 51st Governor's Conference on Tourism. I'm particularly excited because we have so much to celebrate at this year's conference. I want to give a huge thank you to Secretary Shay Lewis, who has done an outstanding job planning this event, but more importantly, leading the entire Department of Parks, Heritage, and Tourism. Nobody represents and does a more spectacular job of leaning into the role that you have and bringing the amount of passion that you do to this effort. And so we're so thankful for your work and for your leadership. I also want to thank our Tourism Director, Delaney Thomas, our Director of the Office of Outdoor Recreation, Catherine Andrews, and our Director of the Heritage Department, Marty Rowell, who have worked so hard to make this event such a huge success and have put months of hard work into this, but also what they do every single day at the department to give us some of the spectacular records that we've had over the course of the last year. And so we are so thankful for what you're doing and for making our state such an incredible place for people to call home and for people to visit. So thank you for your work. Obviously, everybody in this room has contributed a significant amount and are critical to Arkansas's tourism industry. And I know I'll be in trouble if I start to go through and give too many thank yous, but I do want to give a special recognition to the Walton family. And Tom, we appreciate you being here today. Not only were you instrumental in building great facilities like the Ledger that we're in right now, but you've also played a big leadership role in growing the natural state's tourism industry and in helping turn Arkansas into a national leader in quality of life and outdoor recreation. And we're grateful and excited for all of the projects that are still yet to come. So thank you for what you and your family are doing. I think that it's important that we can and we should be unapologetic about what we've been able to accomplish here in Arkansas. Because of everyone in this room's hard work, Arkansas has welcomed more than 50 million visitors who spent nearly $10 billion while they were here in the last year, both of which are state records, and it is something to truly be celebrated. All of those visitors support more than 70,000 jobs, contribute $800 million in state and local taxes, and help make tourism Arkansas's second largest industry. But it's important to be humble too, because it wasn't always like that. This is our 51st Governor's Conference on Tourism, but when it started, our state looked a lot different. Five decades ago, the paint was still drying on the Ozark Folk Center. 5 decades ago, Pinnacle Mountain in Little Rock was still buried under more than 1 million pounds of trash. It was an actual landfill. And now it's one of the most beautiful state parks in Arkansas. 5 decades ago, basically nobody had heard of a little town called Bentonville. And they would have laughed at you if they said that one day it would be home to the greatest collection of American art in the country. State government has played a small role in making that happen. And I'm especially proud of the job that my parents did to help jumpstart the state's investment in our parks and tourism industry. But I'm under no illusions that Arkansas tourism is breaking records because of the state government, but because of the people here in this room, because of the amazing work that you're doing to welcome visitors to the state that we all are fortunate enough to call home. It took guys like Rick Pierce, whose parents started Bass Cat boats in their garage in 1971 on a wing and a prayer. And if you ever rode in a Bass Cat with Rick's dad, Ron, you needed a lot of prayer. I'll never forget the story of my dad doing a test run on a new feature where Ron took the boat out and wanted to show him the new stability feature on the boat. Ron was an engineer by trade, but he was really passionate about fishing and about speed. He was convinced that this new stability feature would allow you to go full throttle in extremely rough water and still remain stable. My dad was not so convinced. However, he still got on the boat with Ron, and Ron was right. They went north of 80 miles an hour on some of the roughest water my dad said he's ever seen. I'm pretty sure that it was a lot more Baptist pastor of my dad than Arkansas governor that came out in that moment. And it's still one of, I think, his most vivid memories. But they now produce some of the best bass boats in the market in Baxter County, employing more than 140 people and helping put north central Arkansas on the map as one of the best fishing destinations in Arkansas. It took someone like George Dunklin, who grew up duck hunting at his grandfather's place in Arkansas County. He later bought it, refurbished it, and today runs Five Oaks Duck Lodge, one of the best duck hunting lodges in America, and one of the places that I was lucky enough to shoot my very first duck. It took a woman like Haley Batten, a mountain biker with Team USA, who trained in Northwest Arkansas before competing in the 2024 Paris Olympics. She brought home a silver medal, the highest finish in U.S. history, and helped let everyone know that Bentonville is the mountain biking capital of the world. There are more than 70,000 people working in Arkansas's tourism industry, and that means 70,000 other stories just like those. Hunting and fishing guides, bike mechanics, trail builders, chefs, resort operators, innovators, and entrepreneurs. I'm here to tell you that the state has your back. We are charging boldly ahead. My husband, Brian, who is here today, has been helping lead the Natural State Initiative and has been busy putting in place the smart, common sense policies that help our tourism industry thrive. Investments in trails and infrastructure, improved amenities, historic tax credits, grant programs, and a lot more. They're working closely with our great Parks, Recreation, and Travel Commission to advance our state, many of those members who are here today. In fact, if you're a member of either one of those groups, if you could stand and be recognized for the great work that you're doing. We were joking just before we started that it's exciting sometimes to get named to a commission by the governor, but you don't realize that it will become the busiest and most demanding volunteer job you've ever experienced. And we're so grateful for the passion and the dedication that each one of you are bringing to our state. We're on the cusp of developing the trails at Mena, a lift access downhill bike park and built by some of the best trail builders in the world. We'll see an enhanced lodge at Petit Jean State Park with new offerings like mountain biking and climbing. And we'll soon complete the Delta Heritage Trail, 85 miles of trail that offers a cultural experience right in the heart of the Delta. It was developed in part thanks to transformational gift from Lynn and Jen Walton, as well as partnership with state and federal government. In Central Arkansas, we will implement the Maumelle Pinnacles Master Plan, a vast, connected green space stretching from downtown Little Rock to Pinnacle Mountain State Park, the shores of Lake Maumelle, and the Ouachita National Forest. It will include climbing, hiking, and mountain biking trails, and more gravel than you could possibly ride in a week. For me, probably more like a month at Lake Sylvia. And certainly our kids' favorite, we now have loblolly ice cream at Pinnacle Mountain State Park. I think it's the only way Brian has convinced our kids to do regular hikes up and down as if there's a reward at the end. But just because you build it doesn't mean they'll come. And that's where Arkansas's tourism industry comes in. And it's not just showing pretty pictures, but marketing outside of our traditional audiences to show them that Arkansas is a year-round, world-class destination. And those efforts are paying off. Our monument trails were ranked the best in the United States by Outside Magazine. We are shifting, evolving, and innovating in tourism to break records. And now, Arkansas is the #1 place in the country for inbound movers, something we are extremely proud of, demonstrating that the secret is out. Arkansas is not only the best place to visit, it's the best place to live, to work, to raise a family, and to retire, and something that we can all be proud of. I think you will agree, Arkansas's tourism is booming. We are uniquely situated in the heartland to offer world-class hiking, biking, climbing, floating, boating, hunting, and fishing to millions of Americans. And because of our weather, we can offer access to epic outdoor adventures 365 days a year. Now, I might argue you might not see me out there on a couple of those days, but in theory, it can be done all 365 days a year. My administration will not slow down. We will not take our foot off the gas. This legislative session, we've worked with Senator Bart Hester, who's here today and doing an absolutely unbelievable job leading in the Senate, fighting for Arkansas. And if you really want a piece of legislation done, you ask him to sponsor it. And so that's exactly what we did. And he and Representative John Maddox, who couldn't be here today because he is in Little Rock continuing to navigate some things through the session, have done a tremendous job leading this effort and laying the groundwork for lift access downhill mountain bike parks in Arkansas, which will be the first in our state's history. In a few moments here in Bentonville, I'll sign that legislation, enabling the MENA Trails project and the Trails Bike Park here in Bella Vista to build lift access downhill bike parks that rival anything out west. But before I do, I want to give one last thank you to the men and women in this room. No part of our tourism industry would be possible without you, not just because of your work, but because you love Arkansas. You love the great outdoors, and you want as many people as possible to experience the amazing state we are all blessed to call home. So thank you for what you do. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for your passion, and let's keep up the great work and keep breaking records. Thank you for being here today and for all you're doing. Thank you.